Hi guys, so this week we are going to be using printmaking to create a symmetrical butterfly. And hopefully by now you remember that symmetry means that if we divide something in half, it's the same on this side as it is on this side. It's equal on both sides. So if I add something to this side, I gotta add it to this side. But because we're using the printmaking method today, it's going to be really easy for us to make our butterflies symmetrical on both sides. So you will need a couple of things for this project. The first thing that you will need is a piece of paper. It doesn't have to be white like mine, but it can be. The next thing you will need is a paintbrush. I prefer kind of like a thin paintbrush rather than a big thick one. You're just gonna get thinner lines with this. And then you will also need some paint. Now you don't have to use acrylic paint like I am. You could use tempera paint if you want, but acrylic paint does work the best because it's very liquidy and it leaves a layer on our surface which we're going to transfer onto the other side of the paper. I'm using black. You do not have to use black if you don't want to. But we will be going back in once our print is dry to add color. So keep that in mind. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fold my piece of paper in half so I have a line down the center of my paper. And my paper is turned this way. We call this landscape. It's side to side. We don't want our paper going horizontal or vertical up and down. We want it horizontal side to side. Okay, so I'm going to fold my horizontal paper in half. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're just trying our best. And I'm going to crease it with my hand. All right, now along the folded edge, I'm gonna make sure I know where the folded edge of my paper is and where the open edge of my paper is. And I want to be starting to draw my half of my butterfly next to the folded edge of my paper. So I'm going to leave mine folded for now so that I can paint right off the edge onto the surface of my table. And then afterwards, of course, I am in charge of my own mess, so I'm going to clean that off of the surface. If you are working on a surface that you're worried about getting paint on, you might lay something down to protect that surface, like a newspaper or an old grocery bag. All right, now I'm going to start drawing, or painting rather, my butterfly. So butterflies have very specific parts on their body. So the first thing I'm going to draw is I'm going to draw half of my butterfly's head, and we want to make sure that we're drawing half of everything. So I'm going to draw a half circle right there for the head of my butterfly. The next thing I'm going to draw is the thorax, and the thorax is the upper part of the butterfly's body. So I'm going to draw that like this. Again, we're only drawing half of the thorax. And then the very last part of the butterfly's body is its abdomen, which is the lower part. So again, I'm going to draw half of the abdomen, and sometimes their abdomens kind of come down in a little point like that. So now I have the base of my body in the middle. You can see I ran off the edge a little bit on my table, but that's okay. The next thing that I'm going to draw is my wings, and I have two wings on either side of my butterfly, so I'm going to paint two of them right now. The forewing is the top wing, and then the hind wing is the bottom wing, and the hind wing kind of, or the forewing kind of overlaps the hind wing a little bit. So I'm going to draw my forewing first. And butterflies have a lot of interesting shapes to their wings, so you can kind of make this look however you want to. I'm going to make sure mine takes up my whole paper, so I'm using my best craftsmanship. Oops, I got a little paint from my table onto my drawing, but that's okay. Maybe we'll turn that into something later. Okay, so there's my forewing, and I want to make sure I'm laying down enough paint that it's not looking see-through in any areas. So if any areas are starting to look a little dry, I'm going to paint back over them so that they have a good layer of paint right there. Now I'm going to draw the hind wing, the very last wing along the bottom, and I can make this look however I want to. So now I have half of a butterfly. I'm just gonna go over any areas that are starting to look a little dry. and make sure that they have enough paint on them. I missed one thing. My butterfly needs one antenna on this side, so I'm gonna draw one antenna right here. Paint one antenna right there. All right, now what I need to do is I'm going to fold my paper in half the other way. So it's already folded in half. I have this line. I'm going to unfold my paper. You can see my little oops from my desk right there. And then I'm gonna fold it back on top of itself this way. We already have a fold mark, so it should be really easy to fold your paper again. And then you're just going to take your hands and you're gonna smooth it over the surface of your whole folded paper, so that we're really rubbing all of the lines that we made on our one side of our paper onto the other side of our paper. And that's going to leave us with a perfectly symmetrical print. So when I open it, now I have a full and complete butterfly, and he is the exact same on this side as he is on this side. The one thing that's a little bit different on this side that I printed on is that not all of the paint came off on this side onto this side in certain areas. So if that bothers you, what you might want to do is go in on this side with a little bit of paint and just touch up those areas so that they are all dark and the same on both sides. And I kind of like how the paint squishes out a little bit and you're left with this very cool texture in the middle. I just love printmaking. I think it's one of the most fun art making materials that we can use, or techniques. All right, so I'm darkening up some of my lines. Now all I have to do is let my butterfly dry, and then I can go back in and add some color using crayons, colored pencils, markers, more paint, whatever you want. Now, if you want to take this one step further past just a very simple butterfly, you can also do some designs in the wings on one side and then print them on the other. So I think I will go ahead and do that to my butterfly because he's looking a little plain and I want him to be a little bit fancy. And then I'm just gonna let my paper dry all the way before I go in and add all of my decorations and details. So we hope you guys have so much fun playing with printmaking this week, using Symmetry to create a print, and we can't wait to see what butterflies you guys come up with. Have a great week. Bye.